mediums like dance or like when I do like photography as well, it's like I am able to have that kind of mental buffer space to be like, I don't have to use that brain for like 100% of the time. I could just use it for 60%. I feel like with that side questing mentality, just having that mental space and like just putting low stakes on a lot of things, it's actually helped me reach a lot of my goals faster too. Let me take my time with pursuing my dreams. Like I don't have to really feel that rush of like being in my 20s and being like, because at first I was like, I'm struggling with like, do I feel like I'm like falling behind in life? There's a lot of times I had to feel that, and then but now I feel like I'm kind of at a space where I'm like, I think that's okay.
Renee, thank you so much for coming out to our show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part of this.
Absolutely. First off, you recently graduated from USC, and you spent a lot of time exploring film, exploring dancing, and all different aspects of the entertainment industry. What would you say is your number one takeaway from the 4 years that you spent here?
I think the number one takeaway for me from exploring all of these kind of passions was that I just felt like I was able to really explore who I am, because I felt like back in high school or in middle school, I felt like I didn't really take that creative potential to explore all my passions really deeply. I felt like I was so just like hell-bent on like focusing on academics and getting into college. But then I think by the time I got into college, I felt like USC was such a good way that I was able to explore all of those passions like all at once. It felt like it was such a multidisciplinary school that really helped a lot of students that wanted to explore. And I felt like because of that, it's like maybe I got to take classes from like so many different like departments, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should explore all of that. So I felt like I was able to kind of learn more about like myself and like what interests I was in. So then I was like, okay, maybe I should take a dance class, but I could also explore all like the cinematic interests that I had. So I took up a cinematic arts minor with that, and same with like taking up a music industry minor, and which also led me to some of my internships as well. So I felt like all of these things really tied together, and I really realized that I think deep down that I still want to do something with like storytelling, because I felt like all of these threads together or coming together is storytelling at its best. And I feel like, oh, maybe through dance or through cameras, photography, film, music, they all have this unifying thread that I want to do something more of like be able to help tell other people's stories and also to amplify it through all these mediums. So
yeah, I mean, from what I know, you went and graduated from the USC Business School. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
And you're currently working at Aputure right now, the lighting company. And I do wonder, I mean, you're taking a lot of steps in the corporate world, and I wonder what is the ultimate goal for you in the entertainment industry?
Ooh. That's a good question, because I feel like I've kind of been navigating so many different career paths at USC, and I felt like once I started exploring one, and then I realized like, oh, maybe this wasn't it for me. Like at first when I came in to USC, I wasn't business at all. I was just like major, and then I originally wanted to go into UI UX design. But then I think during the pandemic and COVID, and I realized like, maybe I should do something that I really want to do, because I'm like, I only have one life, man. And I realized like I still had so much passion through film, whether it's like, you know, just like the film scores that I really love, like going to concerts to and talking about it so much in high school and middle school with like video production. And I realized like, oh, maybe I should still do that. But then of course we have the Asian parents, and they're like, pursue something more practical. So then I realized that maybe going to the business side of filmmaking could be a thing that I was also had the interest in. And I felt like that would also satisfy my parents too, because then they could be like, well, you have a degree in business, like you're fine. So I decided to maybe try and go into more on the business side, whether it's like exploring like producing for film, and then kind of realize, do I actually like producing? I think I still have a lot of love for it, and I have a lot of respect for it, but then I feel like maybe the stress of it isn't really what I was looking for. And because of that, I was still able to maybe also explore different classes like marketing as well. And I realized I really love like digital marketing, the side of it. And then now with product marketing, which is what I do now at Aputure. Because I felt like with product marketing, it's like I get a whole 360 view of like what marketing is, from partnerships to content marketing. And you're kind of like at the center of it. So I thought that through that route, I could explore those kind of areas. And then, but it's funny that I think with even my internships, my last two internships with like NBC Universal and Warner Music Group, they were not in those areas at all. But they were also still on the business side of like the music industry, for music sync, which is like how you get songs and soundtracks onto like film and TV. And I think because of that, like I had a passion where I was always curating music to like photography, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should put the song with like pair with these visuals. And I didn't realize that was a job. And so I was like, should I just continue that on a path and learn how it is? And so I felt like that also kind of came out of nowhere, because I was like studying abroad at the time when I was like exploring those internships, and then Warner Music like suddenly reached out to me to be like, do you want to join the visual media licensing side? And I was like, you know what, maybe like maybe I should explore that. And then but the whole process was so quick. And then that team was also part of like Stranger Things, when they did the Kate Bush song, and I was like,
that blew up.
Yeah, and I realized like, oh, there's like so much of impact and so much more appreciation for the people that work behind like the songs and the soundtracks that get onto those, because I feel like they help, you know, rediscover artists and whatnot to that areas. So I felt like having like such a core foundation of like having business all around is like I get to learn both sides of like the front end decisions of like a filmmaker, but I could also in like artists, but I could also learn like what the back end of it. So I have this whole entire like 360 view of like both consumer needs and then also more on the back end things. Yeah.
Right. What's something about music licensing that people don't know that you've learned during internship?
I think a lot of people don't know the whole process of like what it takes to get music onto it. Like for example, especially with like hip hop music, it takes so long, and it's probably one of the most difficult genres to get it cleared to a lot of TV shows. Like I don't know how like Atlanta, the series, did it. It's so crazy because you just think about the budget and just like how they are able to curate it. But I think like with a lot of songs, it's like you have to go through every single publisher, the songwriting publisher. Basically what the process kind of looks like is that studios would reach out to record labels and be like, we have this creative brief, or we have this show that we're looking for songs. Then a lot of these like the record label would be like, okay, we have these like potential artists that we're thinking of that might be easily what they call like clearable. Maybe they don't have a lot of like things that you need to get for permission, like to use the song, to be able to use it onto film and TV. So they would just be like, let's go out to all these songwriters and publishers, because each song has all these songwriters that you need to get permission from, and basically they're publishing companies. And if one of them says no, which is so easy to happen in hip-hop, because like the amount of samplings that happen in hip-hop music and like the amount of artists that are on one song, then it's like you can't use that. And then you would also have to learn how to, once that song is cleared, then you have to go through all the licensing, which is like, okay, maybe for example, how long is this going to be used for on like YouTube or something, or like for social media, versus like, okay, we're going to air it on the show for like this amount of time and you get paid this amount of time. Then it goes through all the negotiations of like how much is everyone getting paid for that song, and then it finally gets into like the shows, and then you're like, the work is done.
Right. Let's just say hypothetically that like a filmmaker gets hired to write a TV show. Actually, no, a writer who gets hired in the writer's room as like, let's just say showrunner, and they have a song that they want to put in that's perfect for the script that they really want. How would people in your department.
What song?
Like, what song are you thinking of?
Let's say, okay, hypothetically, okay, let's do movies.
Okay. Yeah.
Creep.
Let's say Creep. I was gonna say that.
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like, James Gunn wrote it. It's like the core. It represents the movie in such like a fundamental way.
Right.
Like, how would Marvel/Disney go about clearing that song? Because it is a big.
That's a good question, because I kind of forgot who wrote Creep.
I think it's Radiohead.
Radiohead?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like Radiohead is probably is a really big artist. I think definitely the budget is like something that Marvel and Disney need to think about, especially for those really high songs. Like, it's almost similar to the Barbie movie and seeing like, oh, you have all these popular songs from all these different artists like Dua Lipa and whatnot, Charlie XCX, but they had the budget for it as well.
Right, and those are also like original songs, which is crazy.
I feel like I don't have that much experience of like learning like how original songs get onto from TV. I can only say like for like the pre-existing ones. So I think maybe in the case of like Radiohead, it's kind of similar to how they got the Kate Bush song onto Stranger Things. I would say they definitely have to go through like. Well, first, I think the writer and director would have to go to whoever their music supervisor is.
Right.
So there's usually a music supervisor for every movie or every TV show, and there's sometimes in-house. It kind of depends. Like, I think maybe with Disney, I'm not too sure if they have their own in-house music supervisors. I think they do. I'm not quite sure, because it's not like. I know like NBC Universal has one because they have it for Universal Studio Group and for their own TV shows, but I don't know if like Disney has their in-house ones or they have like their outsourcing music supervisors. I think with outsourcing, that supervisor would have to just like kind of individually just go through all of that process that I kind of mentioned about, but if not, then I think they would just do it like more in-house in the department, so maybe they would have an easier time be able to clear that song. But I would imagine the process is kind of the same as how they would clear a big artist like Kate Bush, which they would have to go through Kate Bush's like publisher and songwriters to be like, can we use this song, basically?
Right.
And then you have to go through all the negotiations to be able to clear it and be able to license it. Right. I would say that's kind of the general process, is how you would maybe get that song onto Marvel.
Gotcha. What about like an indie film? That's independently financed, that has no studio/distributor involvement, but has a music supervisor. It's not a hit song, but it is a song that you would have to go through processes. How would that then work?
I think this just might be an assumption, but I think with that case, if they have like an individual music supervisor, that supervisor would still have to work with all the record labels and all the songwriters. They would probably need connections in the first place to go through that. And especially like, I think they would also have to really consider like how much budget the indie film has, because it's probably considerably a lot smaller than what a studio has in the backing. Give or take, some studios don't actually give music departments that much budget too. So that's also something I think in the general music supervision world, is that there's not always a big budget to be able to clear the songs. And that's why there's always like arguments on both sides of like, well, we want to clear the song, but it's like you don't have the budget for it. Right. So it might be a little bit harder on the indie film side, but I think it depends on like the artist. Like, for example, maybe the indie films could look for like up and rising artists versus like trying to use bigger artists, but you're still trying to get that same tone, similar feel. So maybe that supervisor might go through like a whole playlist and curate a whole playlist and be like, these are the similar vibes to that big artist, that maybe they don't have the budget for that big artist, but they would go through that playlist and be like, oh, I like the small indie artist and this is up and rising, similar stuff. The budget is perfect for it. And maybe it's like there's only one publisher, one songwriter. Then I think that would be a lot easier to clear versus like getting that bigger artist. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I know, you go for it. Yeah.
Do they ever, like, let's say there's a song like Creep they really want to use, but they can't use it, so they like do a remix of it or like make something similar in tone and vibe and they just do it themselves?
Possibly. I think it depends on the project. I think labels have been able to work with like remixes or like samplings, but I would say in general there are a lot harder to clear because of like because you still have to go through the original artist to clear it in the first place before you be able to remix and sample. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me on that. But I do think in general that would be the case. Which is why I think I still have a lot to learn, because I felt like I only got the grasp of like the beginning process of like how it works. So I'm still trying to like read up a lot of articles and be like, oh, how does the show like clear all their music? But I would say like maybe see like the show XO Kitty, for example. In season 1, they were able to use, at the time was a up-and-coming artist. She wasn't so big during them, but then that was also how I like discovered new artists too, is like through Music Sync. So they brought out Griff. I don't know if you've heard of her songs, but she recently was like opener for Taylor Swift in London.
Oh wow.
She also did a song that she collabed with Coldplay recently. And then she was also signed with Warner Records too. She might still be, I think. But yeah, at the time it's like, oh, I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know her songs before. But then she like, one of her songs appeared on XO Kitty, or not XO Kitty, sorry. It was actually for Joyride, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was it. I think it was called Into the Night, One Night. And then
was it the Asian American comedy?
Back to China.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
which
that.
was
That
so
was a
funny.
while
But
ago,
yeah, one of her songs came on to that one.
Wow.
But for XO Kitty, I think I was thinking that was John Somi, because she was under YG label, which is the one of the art, like the label for like Blackpink and BTS, but it's like one of the smaller labels by Teddy Park, I believe. And then I was just like, oh, I also didn't know her at the time. But then when those songs came on, I was like, oh my gosh. But I think that's what I would imagine how any films would go about it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Speaking of like Blackpink, they're great dancers.
Yes.
And you're also a great dancer.
I try.
And
I try. Thank you.
You've been dancing for a while now. I mean, how long have you been dancing for now?
Honestly, it's been on and off, I feel like.
Gotcha.
Because in middle school it was kind of like, oh, I wanted to take classes at the time, like maybe like a hip-hop class once a week. But then classes get so expensive, so then I really had to kind of just stop for a while. And then my high school didn't have a dance team either, so then I was just like, I was kind of just running out of like sources or options to try and like do dance. And I think dance is still sometimes relatively like inaccessible because of that, because of just like the sheer cost that it takes to like take a class. But there's definitely like community teams and studios that are starting to make it more accessible for a lot of people, which is really good, I feel like in LA and whatnot. And then I think it's really not until college that like I felt like at USC that I was able to really explore dance more often, because of like, oh, I could take class through the Kaufman group, and that was really fun because it was like open to everyone. Like everyone could take some of the classes. So I took up like hip-hop fundamentals and whatnot. I joined a freshman dance-off team, which was really cute, because I think originally they were going to close it off to only freshmen, but because of COVID, then some of us sophomores were able to join it as well. And I liked how that team was not like you have to audition for it. It was more like, oh, for anyone that has like no experience in dance could join it. And I felt like at the time I was like, I needed fundamentals for training, and I decided to join it. And I still keep on contact with all my friends like in that team, in that cohort, and it's been 4 or 5 years now.
That's
I think.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I am curious, like, how does dance play a role in your creative life? Because for
yeah.
me, you know, film is my main creative endeavor, and right now I'm really struggling to find something else that I can sort
like
of,
another outlet.
just like play with or launch myself into without like that serious of a commitment.
Right.
So what role has dance played in your life in terms of helping you maybe relieve stress from work in the entertainment industry, or maybe it has also informed the films that you produce or make and the connections you're able to make? Like what role does it play in your life?
so deep. I'm trying to think. I think with dance, honestly, I think it helped a lot with like my own personal growth and even professional too at times. I feel like most times with personal growth is like I really like struggle a lot with like self-confidence a lot and like maybe just like insecurity and like having body awareness because I also went through spine surgery too, and I just didn't know if I was able to come back to dance. But then I'm just a stubborn person, so I was just like, no, I'm just gonna come back to it how much I want it, because I felt like I really started to miss dancing after like just trying it out a couple times in high school, and then I was like, oh no, I kind of want to come back to it. I think it really played a role in where it really does help like relieve a lot of my mental stress, especially with freestyling. Sometimes dance teams add more stress, so it depends. But I do feel like with freestyling, at least, like I could just like shut my brain off a lot of the times, and just be like, okay, just let whatever is happening, just let the body kind of feel it out, whatever music I listen to. And I think because of that, music also has played such a huge role in my life, because it really just like touches every single medium that I go on. And I feel like with dance too, it's kind of the same, where I just feel like I could use that freestyling as an outlet, where I'm like, okay, if I'm just stressed after work or something, I'll just go into my garage, have a playlist going, and then I'm just like, let me just session it out. Let me just like get it out of my head, because I feel like there's so much going on in my like in the brain, and I'm like up here, that I would rather just like let it feel it out the rest of the way. And I felt like with that too, then I realized like, oh, maybe do I, even if I pursue like a side hobby like that, I still feel like maybe it's because of the Asian American mentality, but I always do feel like I always want to like try and go as far as I can with a hobby, even if it's not like a professional career, because I really realistically don't think I could make this into a career as well because of my back and my spine issues. That I feel like I can't do that. But I feel like with freestyling, I'm like, now I'm like, because of the supportive like community that I also have with the team or the studio I was at, I feel like I could start to think about, oh, do I want to take this to another level? Like maybe do I want to go and take training in like fundamentals or lessons in freestyling that maybe I could start battling? Because I always had a side goal in a side quest stream that I was like, I really want to go battle and go into that. Like, I don't know if you've seen like the Red Bull Dancer Style, but I always attended those like competitions, and then I went to like Red Bull BC1, which is the breaking competition. A lot of people that went from that went to the Olympics too this last year, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's just so much of that creativity that was just like I love. And I love how like freestyling also gives me that like other side of like creativity that I can explore, because it feels like, because freestyle, the nature of freestyle is like it's improv, so it's like you have to do it on the spot. It's not like choreo where you can like slowly like plan out your movements to the song that you're playing. It's more like you kind of have to create it on the spot, and I feel like with that, I feel like that helps like get some of that creative juices out. But I like how it's like that kind of media helps me find that buffer, that mental buffer between that and work. Because say like work requires like a different side of like creativity and mindset, and like maybe more of the analytical side of things, because I feel like my job right now is also very much on the technical side, but it's also still creative, because I still have to think about both the product needs, the technical needs, but also the creative needs of it, like the marketing side of it. So I feel like mediums like dance, or like when I do like photography as well, it's like I am able to have that kind of mental buffer space to be like, I don't have to use that brain for like 100% of the time. I could just use it for 60%. So I felt like that has helped me on like that personal growth side. But it's also really inspiring to see like there are people that are trying to go professional as well. And then parts of me is just like, I wish, but like I can't.
I love that. I really respect that. And you know, I think there's a study, like a psychology study, that's saying like, of all the things that is supposed to bring your mood up, like dance beats out like some of the antidepressants, beats out a lot of other activities. It's like the thing that gets your body moving, and it like really lifts your spirits up. And
No, for real, yeah.
like
If you don't
that's-
like cardio, man, like if you don't like running, like I feel like
Dancing is great cardio
you should do a
exercise.
dance. Yeah.
I've been meaning to like get into it as well. I also
You should,
I have
yeah.
this quote.
Me
I have this
too, me
quote
too.
Oh my god.
that said like every day that you don't dance is a day wasted.
Oh my god.
I think it was
I
from
feel
a
that, I
dancer,
feel
like,
that.
you know what? Like it's so natural. I feel like because we
Mm-hmm.
have our body and like music is such a fundamental
Yeah.
part of everyone's lives and like it's it's good exercise as well.
Mm-hmm.
It can be communal, and everything. So it's really like Dan said. I've been looking into if I can commit to dancing as like a hobby, like outside of film.
Oh
and,
yeah, I would
trying to
highly
break in
recommend
and
it
everything.
too because I think it also helped with even just exploring your music taste as well. Like I
Right,
felt like
that as
I've
well.
been able to
Yeah,
expand a lot of my genres in music, maybe for you guys too, because like I would like a lot of friends would be like, oh, you should try dancing to this. There was one time I got a request that was like dance to Hans Zimmer's soundtrack, and I was like, what?
Oh,
I was like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
like some kind of interpretive.
Yeah, it was like an
experimental
interpretive
dish,
experimental through to the Mombasa chase on Inception. I was like, guys, like why this one in
Yeah, you
particular?
know what? It doesn't hurt to explore.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, and I felt like I've been able to really expand both. Like, just I really love the community aspect too of it. Like, you don't really have to. Like, I would say if you want to pursue it as a hobby, like, don't have to think so hard about like whether you want to try and take it like to a professional level, because sometimes there is that pathway too, and you could explore that potentially. But I like how the community groups are like you could meet people from all different kind of backgrounds, but they still have that love and passion for dance. Like, and they'll try and make time for it too. Like people, like say like the team I'm on with Snowmies and like the Snow Globe team, a lot of them are like, okay, we're all working full time, but we all still try and commit to like be able to like train and take classes or whatnot at night. It's like we'll use that time like from off work to be like we're gonna train at night. So I spend a lot of like nights during the week, like either training or dancing, and then on the weekends as well. And I think it's such a good way to like also meet new people. Like I think that was one of the questions I was asking. I was like, oh, post grad, like where am I gonna end up? Like I feel like it might be hard to find a community, or it might be hard to maintain friendships, especially if your friends like start moving away and whatnot.
Right.
But I felt like with community dance groups is like that helped me like really start to explore more of like LA in general and OC in general in terms of people, because I felt like I haven't been able to get so much exposure to like the people living inside of LA, and I felt like that was one of the best ways for me to like be able to make new friends and make like be able to explore that side, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and they're so fascinating too. Like everyone has like different careers or whatnot, different backgrounds, different connections to dance, and I'm like, I love this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really need to look into it because I feel like it's a great way to build community.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of like dance as like a way to balance work and life, something I think everyone at our professional level sort of struggle with is deciding as a creative who want to work in the entertainment industry in a creative capacity to either work as a freelancer or go into the more 9 to 5 but still somewhat creative position at a studio or a music company or a lighting company and whatnot. How do you go about navigating that, and what advice would you give your younger self, freshman yourself, about navigating these two worlds that are sometimes, a lot of times at odds, but at the same time are kind of two sides of the same coin of the industry?
I feel like I would have to give my younger self to be like chill. Don't worry too much, because I always felt like I'm always like looking for the next thing. I need to do this. I need like I need to recruit now in terms of, and I felt like I wasn't able to really just kind of be more in the moment or live in the moment and be in the present more. I would say in terms of that, it's still a struggle at times for sure. I feel like I don't really have it all together, and I feel like sometimes I'm like, am I just burning myself out? I have no idea. But I do, and then I struggle a lot with that actually right when I graduated too, because I was like, I didn't have anything potentially lined up during that time. I think I just like went straight to vacation in China to visit my family, my relatives at least, because I haven't seen them in like 7 to 9 years. And then after that I was like, okay, let me figure everything else out. I think for now, it's like I've started to really explore like what are, maybe because I was also inspired by all these like cinematic vloggers and like content creators that kind of have a double lifestyle, and I'm just like, how do they do that? I have no idea. But maybe because they originally treat content creation as a hobby too, that they're like, oh, it just feels more intuitive to them. But I felt like with that balance, honestly, sometimes it's kind of like whether you have the mental and bandwidth to pursue it, and whether you want to put low stakes on like some of the stuff that you're doing. Like for example, for me, I think maybe it was because I was inspired by a lot of people like filmmakers like Sean Wan, who kind of went corporate route for a while, like with Google, right? Because he was working full time. But then on the side, it was like he was still really like trying to work on his like short documentary, and then he was also working on DD as well while he was working on Google, and I was just like, bro, what? But at the same time, I felt like maybe that corporate experience did enhance his storytelling a lot, because he was like, I didn't have to put financial stakes on these short films and whatnot, so he was able to really take his time exploring like writing these short films, and these short films didn't have to be successful. Like they could just be like, let me just put it on the back burner, or like they don't have to go anywhere, but there's still a good exercise to just like write and whatnot. And because of that, I felt like maybe that like all of those things, and like it accumulated to the documentary or to DD as well, because it felt like he was able to like put the pressure off. And I felt like maybe I'm trying to have like a similar mindset, whether because I was struggling between like, should I just go full-time freelance, should I go full-time corporate? And I felt like with corporate full-time, I was like, well, I don't want to be stagnant. Like, I feel like life is not like that, you know? You kind of, yes, you have to work to live, but I also want to live to work as well. And I felt like maybe trying to figure out ways where I'm like, okay, maybe I would like to not be worried about having like financial insecurity. Like I would rather try and lay out my foundations first before I can build, like almost like a tree, I guess. Because I think that with that mindset, I'm like able to like pursue a career that I still love, and I feel like that could like help with even financial stuff, like maybe for my rent, my long-term savings, the 401k, whatnot, you know, all these like long-term aspects of things in my life. But then the freelance aspect, now that I'm doing it, is like it could also be for fun. Like I'm still putting the stakes low, where I'm like, okay, this could be for paid, but I'm okay with getting unpaid as well, because I could just do it with friends and just still use all these creative muscles to do it, but for low stakes. So I feel like going through both of that route right now, it feels like I don't have that burnout in a way, and I feel like I could still be consistent with it. So say like in the last 3 weekends was like just working on like photo shoots, just with friends. And it's just like, it's just kind of for fun, but like some of them were also for paid as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I think the more visibility I did for just showing my progress in my work, and it doesn't have to be good, then a lot of friends are like reaching out. They're like, oh my gosh, you did this, like, can I do this? And same with the dancing as well. Now it's like I have all these film friends who are like, well, we want to make a dance film now. And I was like, okay, bet, let's do something. And I just feel like with like these kind of worlds colliding, it's like I could have that mental space and buffer to be like, I'm not thinking about finance too much. I could still really pursue all these creative projects like for fun and really go into it without that financial buffer in space. So I think because of that, I was like, I think that was one way I was able to balance it all. But I think too is also having the side questing mentality. I feel like it's funny because I feel like with that side questing mentality, just having that mental space and like just putting low stakes on a lot of things, it's actually helped me reach a lot of my goals faster too. Maybe more so than my main goals. I think it's like, for example, attending the Cannes Film Festival. That was a whole side quest. Attending the Squid Games premiere, the season 2 premiere. That was a side quest. I just did like a half marathon with Nike LA After Dark tour.
Awesome.
That was just for Dochi, guys. It was just for Dochi. And then of course, like I think studying abroad was also kind of like a side quest, and I felt like because of that, it just feels like having that mentality where I'm like, let me just put the low stakes on everything, but I still felt like I don't really want to give these side quests my all, and I felt like because I had so much passion in these side quests that those goals were already met, and I was like, whoa, like, wait, maybe I need to chill because now I'm running out of my childhood dreams and whatnot, because I already finished one of my childhood dreams, and now I'm like, oh, what should I do next? Like, which I think could also go with that mentality of like, let me take my time with pursuing my dreams. Like, I don't have to really feel that rush of like being in my 20s and being like, because at first I was like, I'm struggling with like, do I feel like I'm like falling behind in life? There's a lot of times I had to feel that, and then but now I feel like I'm kind of at a space where I'm like, I think that's okay. Like, I think it's like, because I have these multiple dreams going on, and because I was also inspired by like people that are like, you know, pursue their dreams late, but they still did it, you know. It just depends on like what timeline you're on, and everyone is on their own timelines. I feel like that kind of put me in a reassurance to be like, I could take my time with it. And I think that helped a lot with like not dealing with imposter syndrome, because I was always comparing myself a lot at a time, especially in dance. And then I'm like, I'm just here to learn, guys. And because of that, I felt like that helped with like my personal happiness as well. You know.
Great. I mean, I would love to hear more about the main job at Aputure, because you said it taught you and opened your eyes to a whole new world of what it's like to market a product.
Yeah.
Do you think you can give like a step-by-step like outline of how that goes from start to finish, kind of?
Yeah, so I feel like it's still, the whole entire experience is still relatively new to me, because I've never previously worked with like products before, and I never did product marketing. I think I tried to use a lot of what I knew from digital marketing, and that's only like one aspect of it. I feel like that only touches one area. But I would say like what we do at Aputure is very similar to like how like Apple launch products would release, and then also like say like Snapchat and things like that. But I would say like the whole cycle of like how a product would launch is like, as a product marketer, is like you have to work a lot with between the product managers and the product engineers. First, it's they would have to do prototypes, engineering prototypes and whatnot, and samples through the product engineers, and then you have to work with the product managers to get all these like what we call like data, just like data sheets out of these products. And then through that, it's like we basically are trying to feel like, okay, what are the best features of this product that we want to market for the end users? So for example, with like the one that we just launched about a month ago, I should say, with the Storm XT52, that like in particular, which is one of our biggest lights to date, I feel like, and the most popular one right now so far. And I feel like with that light, it's like, okay, we would take out what's the best features for that product, and how do we take that and be able to like market it to everyone else, but at like an affordable price too. So then we would take it to, or as the marketers, so that's our responsibility. And then also we would also like figure out what that is, what are the best ways to market it, and then bring it to sales team. And then through the product marketing, it's like we'll have to go through like what we call these like marketing mixes. So maybe like a product like XT52, because it's a really big product, it's a new product, we're trying to get like new customers through that. Then you'll have like different what they call like pesos, which is like paid marketing, earned marketing, owned marketing, and shares. There's like different these marketing channels that you would maybe have to consider being like, okay, if it's a new product, what are the best ways to market it? It might be like having a commercial. We would need KOLs, which are like social content creators, basically, to be like, talk about this product. How are they going to use it in this scenes? Like, because it's so new and innovative, it's like what are the different types of marketing we can do to get this product to like become so visible and so popular? And we kind of compare our role to like almost like a quarterback on a football team, because we're almost like responsible for like all the other marketing teams to get that information from product managers to them and be like, okay, content marketing, for example, let's do this for this product, or like partnerships. We would need to consider all these little like all these marketing assets that we need for partnerships, and then they would have to reach out to these KOLs and things like that. And then we were basically trying to be like, let's go through that funnel, and then we would go through sales, and they'll be like, okay, let's figure out the pricing and whatnot, the strategy for that, and then we'll head it into launch. Yeah. So I would say that's kind of the general idea of like how we would do it. I think Apple kind of does a similar way. There's a lot of like tech products that would do a similar way, because in the end, yeah, Aputure is kind of like in the between, where it is a cinema tech company. And for those that don't know what Aputure is, it is a premier cinematic lighting company. So they're like the people that like, or they're like the type of lighting equipment that you will see featured in a lot of movies. Like, for example, Dune Part 2. A lot of the lights came from Aputure. Yeah, basically.
Where you going? Oh, okay. Oh, no.
But yeah.
And that light above my head right now.
Oh my gosh. Is it Aputure?
It's Amaran, which is owned by...
Oh, it is.
Aputure.
It's a sister brand, yeah.
Yeah.
I always
do
thought
work
Amaran
with-
was something different until I figured out it was just
Nah.
part of...
It's the same company.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Basically the same company. It's like they're a sister brand, and like they would just market Ambrain more for content creators.
Right.
Stuff like that. But I think Aputure is definitely more on like higher end of
Filmmaking,
filmmaking. Yeah.
No, it's always on set. It's the
But
best
you do
at
have the
everywhere,
middle,
yeah.
you do
Yeah.
have the middle people that are like both content creators and
Yeah, I see Amarans
Aputure.
on film sets for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just low power lights, you know.
Yeah.
The big ones are usually.
yeah, especially for like tighter spaces and whatnot. Oh, I love using the smaller
Yeah.
the lights for that. Yeah.
What was something you learned doing marketing at Aputure that you never really thought of before, or that like surprised you?
I think I didn't realize like how fast paced it would be. I
Really?
think I was like, at first I was just like, damn, this is a lot to take in sometimes. But I think it's kind of fun at the same time. I thought it's a little bit similar to almost like producing for like short films, or maybe for like marketing campaigns in general, where like every new product is like a new challenge of like how we're gonna market this product basically. And I'm like, you still have to really consider everything in terms of the technical aspect of the product, but also just like the creative ways of like getting that to like maybe a new audience or to an existing audience, and be like, here are the features that, and you would have to constantly think about like what are the consumers or the end users need. Like maybe for example they were looking for like a tunable, like color tunable light, which is like the full color not exactly a full color spectrum, don't quote me. But it's just like you have more colors that you could see in a light, and that gives you like more range of like how you want to light certain scenes. And for that, like maybe end users were looking at that, so then like a product company would just be like, oh, maybe we need to take that into consideration now, and then when they do release a new product, it's like it has all those features. So I think that's kind of the exciting thing of like learning like for products in general, is like how that works, and it feels like each new product is like a new challenge in a way that we're always facing, and how we're gonna meet the needs of our consumers and end users. I would say maybe another thing that I wasn't expecting was that whole 360 view. So still almost like what producers feel like in a short film is like you're still almost like in the middle of everything, of all these different departments. So it's really cool to be able to get exposed to all these different departments as well, and be able to work with them too. Because I'm like, oh, I didn't know how partnerships work, or content marketing work, or even website, because now I have to touch so much on the website side of things. And now I'm like, okay, I have to edit the website and whatnot for the products to go live, and I'm like, I've never done a website design, like what is it? You know. And so I think that's like the fun parts, is like there's always like new things that I'm like, that I would have to like kind of use almost like the left side of the brain a little bit, like more on the analytical creative strategy, versus like say like if I'm doing more like photography and whatnot, photography, filmmaking, beyond sets, I feel like that's a little bit more on the front end of things. But now it's like, because I have so much knowledge, especially at a lighting company like Aputure, it's like if I do go back on set and be like a like help on G&E set or help with G&E is like I actually know why they need those lighting equipment and like why they want to use this for like a certain scene, for example. And I feel like that really helps with to round out my knowledge in like G&E in general, because I felt like it's such a hard like learning curve to go into G&E. But I think because of that now I'm like I have such a deeper appreciation for cinematographers, and I'm just like, you guys do you. I can do that on a professional level.
Do you guys ever listen to like customer feedback on the products? Like,
I think we always try to, yeah, for sure, because they have a lot of power in terms of like our revenue and like just projecting to like if we're saying like maybe there are certain products that are like they're not doing as well, we might have to like discontinue them, for example. Versus like the other products that are doing well, okay, we're gonna have to like keep like maybe promoting and whatnot. So I think customers' feedback is always important.
You know, as a customer of the B7C light bulb, it could be better.
Yeah, oh my god.
Confusing.
No, they are. I was always so recommended to read the manuals like heavily first when I first got my own B7C, and I was just like,
he's like, click this 3 times to do this.
Yeah, basically. I was just like, what does this mean, guys? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, you have these little instructions on the light itself. And I was like, that doesn't help. Like, I would have to wear my glasses for that. I can't see this.
Hey, Aputure, if you're listening.
Hey, hi.
CEO of Aputure, you know, B7C could have a touch screen or something, you know.
Yeah, basically. But cool. I would say, yeah, there's always things that they would need to figure out, but it's always good to like be able to sometimes hear like how the product is doing, like and what people are doing. I think that's how I got into Aputure in the first place, was like just like watching all these behind the scenes of like, oh, how did they lit like everything everywhere all at once. Right. And then most recently was like Ransom Canyon, and then they did a whole case study on like for Dune Part 2, of course, and I was like, wow. It takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. When you're on set, which you still do go on set.
At times, yeah.
How do you ever like listen in on feedback that way? Like do you also like ask like, hey, you know,
I try and
because that's
I try and listen to, but I also try and
feedback.
like tune it out sometimes, because I'm like, maybe I don't want to have that kind of like business aspect like 100% of the time when I go into film. I would rather use the story and whatnot more. But sometimes I couldn't go on sets just to catch up with my friends too, because I feel like that's like one of the only ways that I could maintain friendships with freelancers.
Yeah, it's like because there's working full time.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things was thinking. That was another thing that I had to consider about, was like I like how there's a lot of freedom-ish and flexibility with freelancing, but at the same time there's like so much uncertainty that comes with thinking about long-term finances, and you still have to think about it in the background at times. Like I had friends struggling with taxes and like, you know, trying to get even rent or like finding a new lease because they're like, oh, they don't even meet the requirements. They're just like, oh, you need to have like, well, you know, what's your tax refunds and whatnot, and everyone's like, what? And things like that. And I felt like that was another thing I had to consider about, was like, maybe I'm trying to find a lifestyle that ideally has both of the pros that I like from the corporate and from the freelance aspect of it. But it might change too, because I'm like, maybe 5 years down, I'm like, maybe I want to explore MBA, MFA, or maybe and pursue that side up for a bit. Or I might go the opposite, where I'm like, now because I have that exposure with Aputure, I can go into like tech entertainment companies too. Like I could go into streaming companies. I could go into like, maybe far down the line it would be like maybe something similar to like Google or YouTube, where they also have marketing positions. But I could also work on the music side. It all depends.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say for sets though, I feel like that's kind of the mindset where I'm like, I would rather treat it as like, let me catch up with friends, because I don't see them half the time outside of set, and it's really hard to schedule with them, especially like I never know when they're available. Like they could be available at night any time of the day during the week, or they might not, or the weekends. Yeah, a lot of times they're not available on the weekends, and sometimes I'm not available. So then we're just like, our schedules just never line up.
Yeah.
I feel like sets are sometimes the best way to just like meet up again, and you're working on a cool project too. So it depends, yeah. I think, but I would rather use sets to like commit to the story more and be like, let me have that kind of buffer of the headspace versus like I need to think about the business again, because I'm like, then I feel like I don't have that work-life balance between like working for Aputure and working for like sets.
You speak a lot about business, and I do wonder because the USC Marshall School is very famous. However, as you know, someone in film production, we never really get to interact with that school. So, from someone who graduated, did the 4 year or how many years you did there?
4. It was, yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
How was your experience like at the business school? And yeah,
Just
honest
like
opinion.
pros and cons. I feel like some of the cons are like, I wish they had like more diverse curriculums that we could have taken on, because I felt like they had their core curriculum that everyone had to take classes from, like economics and whatnot, accounting. I get that they're like good foundations to have and fundamentals, but there are times I'm like, when am I ever gonna use this? I would say,
for the minor,
yeah, even for the minors,
Yeah.
it's a little bit weird in that sense. I would say the strongest assets are like the networking for sure, because you could really meet with anyone that works from like almost every single industry that you could think of. And it doesn't have to be. I just feel like sometimes Marshall is a little bit more like finance, IB consulting invested. I wish they could have a little bit more diverse, like outside of my time. I think they did. They started implementing a lot more courses like sports, entertainment, sports media. I think they recently had someone that was, not me blanking on his name, but he was the head coach of, yeah, the Seahawks, I think. And it was teaching a class. I was just like, dang, I wanted to take this class, bro. But I think it's really good in that sense for like all the networking that you wanted to get out of. I felt like during that time, I felt like it still gave me a lot of like fundamental knowledge of like how a business operates and how it works. And especially even with film, we all don't like to say it, but it's like, it's still at the end of the day somewhat of a business too. And I think just having that knowledge in mind helps a lot, just making both like business decision needs, but also you're not sacrificing that creativity, because obviously I feel like producers are always like thinking about that a lot and be like, well, if they understand so much on the film production side, then it's like they will have to like for example, I would be able to consider a lot about the budget for camera and G&E, because I know how expensive that could get, right? But I could take that into account firsthand if I'm producing something on the business side. And I'm like, I already have that in mind when it comes to making or creating a budget, like before you crowdfund it, for example. Then I'm already thinking about like that number at least, and be like, okay, how much should we budget for that department or for art department and things. And I think business was such a good way to like combine it. It gave me a lot of opportunities that I didn't get to explore before. Yeah, like when I mentioned about my internships, I was like, oh, I didn't even know music thing was a thing. But because they said I had that background of like the business and like some of the soft skills that came from having a business degree, it helped a lot with music sync, because a lot of it has to do with legal and admin side, business side of music that I was able to explore. And then studying abroad, I felt like that one was really cool, because I got to like do my a lot of my upper division classes through the study abroad program, and I could still be able to finish on time as well. So because that was another thing I had to consider, was like if I did a study abroad program, I didn't want to like be a semester late, because otherwise I don't have the financial and it was really cool too, because I think because of that I was able to take a lot of like diverse classes at the school I was at. So I was in Rotterdam, Netherlands, and because of that I was able to explore like marketing or whatnot, and marketing for film too. They had like all these like different like diverse classes that I was able to take, and I felt like Marshall was really good on an international level where they could help you like get that kind of exposure. And then I think because of that, I was like, I think I kind of got the best of everything that I wanted from a study abroad program. And I think that was one of the things I was really considering was like, if I wanted to study abroad, how was I going to go about it in terms of like financially and whatnot? Like, because Marshall also gave me, like, they also gave me, I think, or I was able to use like some of the scholarships I had to be able to fund the study abroad program. And then I think with that, yeah, I was like, that was one of the best ways to do it. I think also Marshall was also that our, in terms of units, it's one of the last ones, like lesser units that you could have. I don't know if this makes sense, but it's like, say, with the business majors, like you don't have to, like we only have maybe a certain amount of units, but it was way less than what I saw with like film production majors is what I've noticed. So then I was able to like take up like 2 minors basically, and I was still able to study abroad, but without like having to consider all the extra things. So because of that, I was still able to graduate on time too, and I was like, I could explore all of my potential needs. And I think Marshall was a good way to be like, you could explore as much as you want outside of the major as well.
Right. And how do you touched on this a little bit already, but how do you balance the, businessy side of things and also sort of recognize that that's one essential to bring out the creative, but also if you're like some kind of executive, if you're someone who in the position of power to say yes or no, you're also kind of in conflict with creativity. So how should one who are trying to find their path in entertainment go about integrating the two, understanding both, and explore or find their own path in that? In those two worlds?
That's a good question. Yeah, I feel like I still try and wrap that mind and in my head too. Sometimes I'm just like how do I go about it too?
Right.
But I think because I understand a lot from the creative side and being a creative myself and like explore and still being very much on the production side of things, but also exploring even on like the photography side, I feel like I still always have that in consideration in the back of my mind. Even if I'm like trying to think about, okay, on the business side of like what is best for the company, but at the same time what is also best for the filmmaker's needs, and then always try and find like maybe a sort of compromise in between where you have to consider that some business decision making needs it's going to be good for like the budget and whatnot. Like sometimes you might not be able to meet a filmmaker's needs simply because they might be asking too much out of the budget that you are given. But at the same time, it's like you can go and be creative about that too, because a lot of good, like for example, indie filmmakers, they could do so much creativity having a minimal budget. But at the same time, I think it's like say like on the producer's front, it's like I would still try and balance it in a way where I'm like, okay, let me best manage that. If these filmmakers and like say like for the DP is asking for like all this, it's like how do I best go about it in terms of the budget? So I kind of mentioned about that a bit where I'm like, let me, at least for the budget front, it's like I would have to consider that already ahead of time, and then thinking about, okay, what are the risks that we might be involved, because there are some stuff that I'm like, this is not worth the risk. I feel like there are some stuff that maybe they're asking so much on the production side that I'm like, okay, on the business side, this risk might be too much to take on. But there are other risks that I'm like, I think this would work. Like we could potentially go with this. So I think there was always like this like seesaw balance of like, how do we go about it? Try and find that middle ground between both filmmaker and business sides. I would say that, yeah, and this could apply to like even on the grand scale of things, like for example AI too, because everyone's always worried about like,
Right.
is that going to take over your jobs and whatnot. Because there are definitely some stuff that I don't agree about, like in terms of that aspect, and I think that humans' stories are still needed first. Like if I think about, for example, Studio Ghibli, I'm like, ain't no way like AI is gonna replace like someone's actual art, especially if it's like their own art, that you have so much passion and creativity and storytelling and like their own experiences, cultural experiences behind it, that I feel like AI can't do that. So there's always like those like kind of aspects, but I do see there's are potential benefits when it comes to like how does AI help an artist individually, to be like, for example, be more efficient in their work, to be able to create and things like that. Like if you're trying to be like, let me find this one tiny edit using AI, but this is still entirely your work and your ideas, your creative, then I see maybe there is potential in that case. So I think it is still a balance of like that, and that mindset is also kind of similar to how I would approach business as well.
That's beautifully said.
Yeah, and something we do on this podcast actually is that the previous guest leave the current guest a question.
Ooh,
And the
that looks so
previous
much fun.
guest left you a question asking, what was different about your childhood that you thought was normal?
What was something?
Like, what's a unique thing from your childhood that maybe not everyone else has?
Interesting. Like, could it be like on like just like small things, or like more
it could be
philosophical?
anything.
Okay. I guess a fun fact is like I'm ambidextrous. I don't think a lot of people know about that.
What does that mean?
Wait, so that means you can...
I'm both-handed, basically.
So you can still write with both hands.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like if I'm
Wait, I don't think I know
eating,
anyone who... That's...
which helps a lot for like everything,
know.
honestly. Like if I'm playing the piano, it helps with my hand-eye coordination. If I'm eating with someone, I always take into account like if someone's left-handed, where do I sit in a restaurant? Because I'm like, okay, if they're left-handed, maybe even if I'm sitting in like in a booth, for example, I'm sitting in the wall space.
Right.
Then I could just eat with my left. I don't have to like interfere with someone. Am I right? But if I'm sitting on the outside, it doesn't matter. I could just be like, let me just use whatever.
That's amazing. Is that something you can get later in life, or you're...
No, there's no...
No
Not
way.
really,
God.
but I think maybe for me it
Sorry,
kind of
sorry,
happened more
Yuichi.
in
Gosh,
middle
sorry.
school when I did break, or when I like fractured my wrist, and I was like I had to use so much of my other hand. So same with my sibling. Like my sister is also ambidextrous. My dad's primarily left-handed. My mom's right-handed, and I feel like for me, I could be like, let me go about it
Maybe
like
it's
that.
nice. Yeah.
It helps with sports sometimes too.
I was thinking that too, like soccer, I could
Volleyball.
never...
Football, you throw
Like, yeah,
Oh,
like, I could
yeah,
never...
yeah.
How do I even... Yeah, I don't even...
Like
Yeah.
volleyball,
You
sometimes
use
I
your
love.
hands,
Soccer too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, even when I'm kicking a ball, I instinctually is my right foot.
Oh
I
really?
can
Yeah.
never...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But say like for like volleyball too,
Okay.
it's like I could like psych someone out because
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
know which hand I'm using
That's
when I'm
sick.
hitting, but I would just appear out of nowhere.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think another side fact would be that I think, well, a lot of people know now, it's like going through scoliosis and then having spine surgery too. I think that still plays a huge role in my life now too, because it does affect a lot in terms of like even for dancing too. I'm still restricted on a lot of movement, so I feel like I have to learn like how do I still want to progress in dance, and like how do I want to get to a level that I'm like satisfied with, but I'm not sacrificing like my physical health as well, because there's always a lot of frustrating moments. Like even for this past season with this team was like I had to deal with a lot of like spraining my spine because I did not carry lighting equipment the right way. I think I was carrying it the wrong way, so I sprained my back. And things like that. And then I realized like, oh, I still have consequences sometimes dealing with this like the post spine surgery, which happened 6 years ago, but I still have to like deal with that. So I feel like sometimes I'm like, I think that's just life though. I feel like I still have to like progress in a way, but it does help me like also be like, well, let me just appreciate the smaller moments in life too. And I feel like that outlook of things has really like shaped what my high school, or not my high school, what my college and like present day now is looking like.
That's awesome. That's something I've been trying to work on as well. Just stay present. Renee, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you so
you.
much for
Great.
having me. This was much fun. Yeah.
Of course.